Yes, people, what's going on? We're back with another club calling show brought to you by Sky Bet. We're absolutely loving doing these, and we're going to get stuck straight in to the calls. But before we do that, remember, you can join our Discord. The link's in the description below, where we will be selecting our callers. I don't think we're going to talk about football here because Kieran, who's a Bristol Rovers fan, has called up, and I've heard he's grown up with someone that we know. Kieran, what's happening?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
How are you, Kieran?
You all right?
You support the gas?
The
Yeah,
what?
the gas.
The
Yeah,
gas.
yeah. But
Who's a gash?
sadly, when you're from no, Bill, we are gash. But, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. Sadly, when you're from Bristol, obviously the teams are so bad. You normally have to like have a second team as a Prem team, just because otherwise it'd be boring to watch.
Yeah.
And who have you chosen?
Arsenal, sadly, Rory.
Arsenal.
Oh, no, don't be sad, Kieran. You still got to say it with pride, mate. Say it with pride.
No, you should be sad. So do you go over to Bristol? Where did Bristol play? What's the name of the stadium?
The Memorial Stadium.
Memorial. Yeah.
Do you know, we've been told you grew up with Buvey.
Yeah. So we grew up in the same street. I actually used to sit next to him in primary school. As
No
well.
way.
Has his head always been that big?
Yeah, but I thought he'd be on the show today, but I got quite a funny story about him. I thought I couldn't.
It's even better to tell us.
Yeah.
It's even better to tell us without him here.
Go on.
So when
Kieran.
you were kids at school, was he driving you mad, like talking about like Antoine Sibierski?
Well, he actually was a Man City fan. I can give him that. Like, he's not one of those who jumped on the bandwagon when they got the money. I can give him credit there.
Okay, fair play.
But I do remember once we used to play football in the street, and he showed up with his New England top, and he'd accidentally bought at the women's one because you know the collar that you put your head through, like it was like lower down where breast would be, and he will deny that, but I promise you it happened.
No, I believe you.
It's like when Michael Scott comes in a women's suit.
Yeah, the blouse. Dunder Mifflin. Yeah.
God, you've done him over there, Kieran. Oh, my God,
That is
that's great
brilliant.
information.
Thank you for that. We will use that forever. Really appreciate it.
And hopefully nowadays someone could AI him in like a local English
Also,
shirt.
do you know what we can do? We could just, when we get some kits for the next tournament, just get him the girls one.
Yeah.
That's going to live forever, Kieran. Thank
That
you
is
very much.
Amazing.
What was your football topic of choice?
Yeah, so I'm an avid listener of the show, so I listen to quite a lot of the shows you put out. And I've noticed a few times you've had the sort of Wenger Mourinho debate.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Rory in particular has got off very lightly, having Mourinho in the top 3 Prem managers ever, sort of uncontested.
Mhm.
So I decided to go through like the data and stuff and have a little look at it. And I've come with receipts, guys.
Okay.
Because I just felt, I'm not saying I feel like Wenger's definitely better than Mourinho in the Prem, but I feel like it's definitely a 50-50 argument, which is not the way it's been portrayed. So the first thing, and which I think the most important point, is obviously the money that Mourinho had under Abramovich.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking at the numbers. Now, in terms of euros, so I went on Transfer Market, Chelsea spent in the first 3 seasons under Mourinho 173 million, 162, 88, which is 423. Wenger in those 3 years, it was 27, 12, and 46, which is 85 million euros.
Wow.
So to give you some context, that's a factor of 5. So then what I thought I'd do is I thought, right, let's compare that. To look at this season, for example, I thought, right, who's bottom of the league? Southampton. The difference in spending between Southampton this season and Chelsea is a factor of 2. So that basically means the gap in spend between Wenger and Mourinho in that period versus Southampton and Chelsea now is 2.5 times bigger back then.
But one of the things with that wouldn't come across with Wenger was, whilst some of the players that he signed were very like cheap in comparison, they were like Patrick Vieira and stuff like that. So he benefited from shrewd investment, but he had some great players still.
Well, that's well, I can imagine what Kieran's trying to say is that's why he's arguably better. He's got a better talent ID than Jose Mourinho. He didn't have to spend loads of money to try to get it right. Wenger spent less money.
I mean,
and got great
for every Vieira, there was a Glenn Helder, mate. Like, it's not fantastic talent ID. For every Vieira, there was at least 2 Glenn Helders. But I don't really understand the point. So if the point is that maybe Wenger's better with money, you can have that.
I know it was that was just the initial tee-up point, just to give you some context as to like the dwarf in spending between the two, because obviously it's a factor. If someone,
but one team were champions when Mourinho arrived, Arsenal were invincible.
Mm-hmm.
So Mourinho naturally had to try and equalise that, right? He's arrived into a league, into a country where the team that were champions had just gone invincible. So obviously he spent because he had to try and equalise it.
And that spending would have happened with or without Mourinho.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think when you're comparing like the achievement of both of them, obviously money comes into play. So like Klopp gets a big thumbs up because he's done it with like next to no money versus Man City. When you look at even like Real Madrid, Barcelona, like 10 years ago, the reason why Barcelona is sort of seen more glorified than Real Madrid is because Real Madrid just cherry picked all the best players.
But it's also because of it's because of the circumstances, though. Arsenal, when Wenger took over at Arsenal in '96, fairly recently, okay, the Bruce Rioch era didn't go well, but fairly recently, Arsenal were winning the league and winning doubles under George Graham. So
didn't Chelsea finish second in the Ranieri the season before?
They won nothing though. We won nothing for 25 years when Mourinho arrived. We literally won. We literally hadn't won a trophy for 25 years prior to his. Well, sorry, that's completely not true. We hadn't won the league for 50 years prior to his arrival.
Yeah, but they still finished second in the league the season before, so the team couldn't have been that bad.
I don't know how true that's not necessarily. We didn't finish second that year either. We didn't finish second under Ranieri, did we?
I believe he did.
What year was before Mourinho? 2003, 4?
2003, 4. The year that Arsenal won the league, were Chelsea second. But even so, Chelsea hadn't won a league for 50 years. 50.
Yeah, no, but he's not taken over the team from 50 years ago, is he? He's taken over the team from the season before.
But it's a team that has no culture of winning the league. So naturally, there's going to be a lot of money spent to try and catch the team that's just gone invincible, who has a history of winning titles.
I mean, look, that's fair enough. I just wanted to put that in there because I think, like, anyone would agree, if you have more money to spend, the job's easier. I think it's quite an important point. But I get your point. But I'm just saying, I think money is definitely a factor. But then, so I went into the figures beyond that as well. So they both obviously won 3 Premier League titles. Mourinho never won a double. Obviously, Wenger won 2 doubles and an invincible. The thing that I've never seen brought up on it before is that Wenger actually won 7 FA Cups as well, which is more than Fergie. And the FA Cup is an important comp. Obviously, Mourinho won 1 FA Cup. So
in how long? In how many years?
Well, it would have been about 20.
20 years.
Mourinho had 12 seasons in the Premier League.
Also, Wenger swept up a lot of those FA Cups when they weren't competing for the Champions League. They weren't really competing for the league. Like they were to. I'm not discrediting it. I love the FA Cup. No. But Mourinho was challenging for the Champions League with his Chelsea.
So was we though.
But what I'm saying is, he won them against Holland.
By the end, you weren't in
Champions
it.
League for 20 years. We just
You were
wasn't in
never
it just a couple
competing
like 6 years ago.
Arsenal post 06 were never competing to win the Champions League.
Yeah, but he was always knocking around the semi-finals or the quarter-finals. He was always there.
No.
Yes, we was.
What semi-final did you play apart from the
We
one
played
against Man
knocked out
United?
by Manchester
Also,
United.
Mourinho
Apart
for
from
me
that
would be ahead of Wenger because of how good he was in the Champions League.
Again, that's a good point.
What about Kieran? What about their head-to-head?
I know. So I just wanted to, on that Champions League point, we move on to that after. So the furthest Mourinho ever got in the Champions League for a Prem team was the semi-final against Liverpool. Apart from that, it was quarterfinals, last 16. Wenger actually made a final.
Are we doing Mourinho, Chelsea,
Mourinho also won
or
the Europa
Mourinho?
League for Manchester United as well, by the way.
But are we comparing Mourinho Chelsea, or are we comparing just Mourinho versus? Because at various points, Mourinho, it sounds to me like you're putting just Mourinho at one of these seasons, one of these years that you're referring to. He's Tottenham manager. Not in the Champions League.
Chelsea, the conversation is when you said about the top Premier League managers ever. So we're just talking Premier League legacy. Obviously, if it was just Mourinho, Wenger, I would have there's no debate because Mourinho's done so much elsewhere. But in terms of what he's done for Premier League clubs, I would argue.
But Wenger's got a European trophy in England, by the way. He won the Europa League with United.
Sorry.
Mourinho.
Mourinho beat in Sweden, didn't he? He beat Ajax.
Okay, so that's a fair point because I did notice that. But then again, Wenger was in the Champions League like 20 years in a row, so you can't really punish him for not being in the Europa
Never
League.
threatened to win it, though.
No,
Really.
Yeah, but we was there.
Qualification can't be seen as any kind of success.
We lost. And we lost to you in the semi-final. One of the best teams
in 20 years.
Yeah, I know, but we was in and around the Champions League. You can't say we wasn't in it. We was there. We wasn't teams that was getting knocked out in the last 16.
There's a difference between qualifying and potentially trying to win it. There is a difference.
Yeah, but obviously,
Arsenal was celebrating finishing 4th with no intention of ever winning. They had no intention of winning. They had no intention of winning their domestic league, let alone the European.
It became an expectation Arsenal would go out.
What of the Champions League? Yeah, because
Every
there was a
time.
time we never had the financial backing.
Didn't it
We
just
never
get to
had
the
it.
stage where you
had
ended
it.
up losing like 9-0 on aggregate every single season?
It was, but to buy me
10-0 even. Yeah.
10-2.
It was 10-2. Yeah, but that's when we never had the financial backing around that time. So things have changed now. Whereas Kieran's alluding to that you did have the financial backing.
But
And
when Mourinho didn't really have the financial backing, I know we signed some players for him at United, but I remember that after his second season, we gave him Delo and Grant and Lee Grant and Fred. He finished second with a really poor Manchester United team.
Yeah, that's
If we're going to talk about what they've done with crap teams, as well.
I don't know. I can't necessarily talk about Mourinho, Manchester United, and Mourinho, Tottenham. I don't think it's.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't really see how relevant it is to the Mourinho legacy in the Premier League either. Mourinho's legacy in the Premier League is what he did at Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah, 100%.
Came in at Chelsea, totally rejuvenated the club, totally redefined the club, won the first trophy that we'd won the first league title that we'd won for 50 years. That season, although you said he didn't win a double, he did win the League Cup that season as well. So won the Premier League and the League Cup. He then came back to Chelsea a decade later, won the Premier League and the League Cup all over again, and then left Chelsea.
Can I ask Kieran?
I have huge respect for Wenger in it. I just want to look at because I'm the only one here that's kind of been up against both of these managers. When you were up against Mourinho, it felt so difficult, man.
No,
Like it felt like with Arsenal, you always felt like we could just kick these lot out of the game.
Nah.
You couldn't do that to a Mourinho side.
What, on a physical?
Yeah, you couldn't.
Yeah, but
It was maybe it was because it was a different Man United as well. We just had the Glazers coming and stuff, but Mourinho's teams, I think they were more feared.
What about their head-to-head, Kieran? How does that stand up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Obviously, I've seen the head-to-head. That was one thing I was trying to avoid. But
it's abysmal, man. It's abysmal.
yeah, but to be fair, I think with Wenger, again, with that Emirates era, obviously, every time he played Mourinho, they had so much money. Obviously, it could go against Man City, who had unlimited money before FFP. United are obviously big as well. So like that second part of his career, it's very harsh. It was when I was looking through the numbers of how much they were actually spending each season, like 12 million one season, 20 another season. Like it's so much lower than everyone else. I didn't really realize how bad it actually was. I just don't think like he gets enough credit for staying around. Like Mourinho obviously ran off after a couple of seasons at Chelsea. And he obviously does that at a lot of clubs. Would have he done badly if he had to do a rebuild and whatnot?
I'd say Roman Abramovich's biggest mistake was sacking Mourinho in 2007. Like we would have won so much more. Like we were on course to win a European Cup under him. Of course we were. That Luis Garcia goal, whatever you think of that, it's almost irrelevant now. But Chelsea were knocking on the door. We made it to the Champions League final in 2008 under Avram Grant, and obviously that was Mourinho's team. So I think Mourinho would have obviously won so much more silverware, and it was a disgrace that he was ever sacked at Chelsea when he was. In terms of their head-to-head, I think it's very important to acknowledge that if Wenger's 1000th game, Wenger's moment, he got absolutely battered 6-0. Arsene Wenger resorted to violence against Jose Mourinho because he couldn't deal with him.
You beat him up.
He couldn't deal with him. He couldn't deal with him, so he resorted to violence. He was called a specialist in failure by Mourinho for a reason. When he was called boring by Arsene Wenger, he said how boring it was because he beats him every single time he faces him. Of course, it's boring.
No class.
Called him a voyeur.
Called him a voyeur.
Kieran,
You say no class. There's
No
one
class.
person putting hands on. There's another person not. Like there's no class from Arsene Wenger.
We all know Wenger's more classy than Jose Mourinho. But Kieran, let me ask you just one question. Do you think Jose Mourinho will be successful at Chelsea without spending that money? Yes or no?
No, but
Nobody does. But it's not a question because I don't think that.
Because Arsene Wenger didn't need all that money.
But
That's the whole point.
I don't think that.
But Arsene Wenger didn't need. I want to ask Kieran because Arsene Wenger didn't need all that money.
Nobody thinks it.
Yeah, but there's some managers that can do that without spending all that money. They are the world class managers. Jose Mourinho is a great manager, but we all know he needed money.
So you're not a world class manager if you're a spending manager.
But then the excuse for Arsene Wenger that he didn't win anything towards the back end of his time at Arsenal was that he didn't have enough money. So what is it? Is he great with or without money?
I think he's great without money. With the money, he never had the backing.
So then when we asked why he didn't win the league at Arsenal towards the end of his season,
because they never had the financial backing.
There you go. Thought he was great without money.
Yeah, but obviously, but you can't say that, Adam McKola, because
he was great without money.
Yeah, because no, you got to say that with context. Because when it came to the back end of Arsene Wenger's career, there was a high injection of money in the Premier League. When he won it, there wasn't a high injection of money. You was the only big spenders at the time.
But we weren't, because Liverpool was spending big, Blackburn was spending big.
Barring Liverpool, but they weren't big spenders. It was Manchester United. So he came and dethroned you with spending limited money. At the back end of his career, there was Chelsea, there was Man City.
It does all feel like this isn't quite the narrative. Like Dennis Bergkamp didn't come through Hale End. Mark Overmars didn't come through Hale End.
Yeah,
Patrick Vieira didn't come through Hale End.
You know that. You need marquee signings, Rory.
But he did spend money.
Yeah, but it's cheap, though.
Yeah, but
were
it's
great
cheap.
players,
But
he developed a great team without spending big money.
Thierry Henry was a signing that cost money in the way that Arjen Robben was a signing that cost money.
How much did Henry cost? I think he cost about
12
12
million.
million. Come on.
But 12 million
12
when Henry
million
went
then.
in 98 was
12
30
million
million in
But
05.
these guys were spending 30s and 25s every year.
Bro,
Without-
Fergie was hardly ever the highest spender in the league every season.
I think it's a bit of a myth that Wenger didn't spend. Every successful team that he built, like you've got to remember, Arsene Wenger went a decade without any silverware. A decade. No trophies whatsoever.
He never had the backing.
Like
boys.
Jose Mourinho said it, didn't he? He said if anyone else at a top club went that long without a trophy, you'd be sacked.
Yeah, because we had a different. Obviously, the managers, the owners had a different project.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kieran, it's been a great call, mate.
Yeah,
You caused a
great
lot of debate. Will you do us a favour? Will you call back next week when Buvey's here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on as well.
Mate, it was a great call,
Nice
Kieran.
one,
You caused some
Kieran.
real debate there. Thank
World
you.
class.
George, the Aston Villa fan. How are you, George?
How you doing, George? You good?
You?
Yeah, that is a nice Brummy accent you got
I
there.
was thinking the same thing. It's a nice
Can
accent,
hear
George.
all of y'all.
Making me feel at home.
How are you?
I'm all right, are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. You're a Villa fan. You've got to be over the moon with the way it's going. You going to win a European Cup again?
I reckon so.
Yeah, why not? Well, absolutely, why not?
Optimism.
I reckon so.
Yeah.
We've got a good chance at the FA Cup as well.
Oh, yeah, you have.
I think I've decided, by the way, I think I want you to win the FA Cup. I was looking at
Well,
the teams
but-
left in the competition. I think I want Villa to win it.
We've got the easiest fixture out of everyone, I reckon, Preston away.
It's dangerous to
I
say
think
that,
that
though.
gives us a good chance.
Yeah, you could have done with it being Preston at home, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But apart from that,
definitely.
apart from that, I agree with you.
The magic at the FA Cup might get you there, George. So you just got
And they'll win. They'll win at Deepdale.
You never know.
They'll win.
I reckon.
What are you thinking then, George? What's on your mind?
Well, my topic was that Villa are more likely to win more silverware in the next 10 years than Arsenal and Tottenham.
I don't really have a major argument with the theory.
I mean,
why do
Tottenham kinda
you
goes without
tell me
saying.
why
Yeah,
you
Tottenham,
think? Yeah,
yeah.
let's discount Tottenham from this, George.
Yeah, Tottenham,
Why do you think you'll win more silverware than Arsenal in the next 10 years?
because Arsenal's manager, Arteta's more likely to get sacked than Unai Emery, so they'll have to restart their project all over again.
Although if they sack him, they could bring in a proven winning manager, and
With
then
great
they're
players.
ready, aren't they? Imagine if they were to look. I'm just going to make a point here. I don't think this happens at all, but just to make a point, they sack Arteta, they bring in Ancelotti, they win more than you.
Yeah, but they're not going to bring in Ancelotti as well. I look at it.
But George, you know how I look at it as an Arsenal fan, and obviously I've never had an Aston Villa fan question my cups or.
Yeah,
speak to
they've
me
questioned
about-
European Cups. Have
Obviously,
you
they've
won the
that.
European
No,
Cup?
they've won, and that's theirs. They can have that. But anything else, I've never had a Villa fan come at me. But to be fair, if Aston Villa doesn't make Champions League this season, you're in very big trouble, and that means you might have to sell a lot of your players, which is more than likely you're going to have to do a rebuild way before Arsenal, my friend.
I think even though we might not make the top 5, we're still guaranteed to make some sort of Europe. So then that makes our problems a little bit less of a problem if we make like Europa League or the Conference League.
Miles, do Villa have problems? I think they're backed hugely by
I
the
feel-
wealthiest man in Egypt, aren't they? They think
No.
they're okay.
No, but I just honestly think that Villa has just thrown everything at it in their January transfer, because obviously they got in quite a few transfers. They got in Rashford, Asensio. They've
A lot of
been,
them are loans, though.
yeah, it's been good at the moment. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. But obviously they're trying to make Champions League, and they need that financial power to get into the Champions League to make better signings in the future, so they can try keep up with the top 6
I
teams.
feel like they've got more chance of winning the European Cup than Arsenal.
What,
Like this season,
the Champions League.
short term, yeah,
Yeah, but you're only saying that because who they've drawn. We've got
and
we've
because
got
of
Real
their
Madrid.
manager.
Yeah, Unai Emery.
I think the way it works, we can play Arsenal in the next round. If we beat PSG and Arsenal beat Real Madrid, I think we play Arsenal actually.
That'd be great. I'd love to take you lot over 2
See,
legs.
if they play each other, then I don't know. It's a bit.
Yeah, I
different.
think
But
they don't
Emery's
need
got a
to.
great record against Arsenal.
He does, but they haven't beaten us this
No,
season.
but you're going to have to get past Real Madrid.
Exactly. I don't think we're going to get past Real Madrid.
Yeah, we'll cross this
More than
imaginary bridge when we get to it, George.
But in the next 10 years, though, George, if you win at least one trophy, I'll be impressed with Aston Villa. I honestly think that Arsenal's going to win more than one trophy in the next 10 years. Even if Arteta does go, we still got a great pool of players at the club. And like Rory said, we'll get a good manager. Arsenal is a good project. We've shown it all over the world. We haven't won the league. We've come second twice, but we've still got great players. And this is our worst season.
George,
and
how good is Unai Emery, George?
I think he's the second best in the league.
Behind Guardiola.
We said that last
I
year,
think it
didn't
goes Pep Guardiola, then I think it will go Unai Emery, and then maybe Slot and then Arteta. Because Slot's come in and won the league within a year.
Yeah.
With Klopp's team.
No,
Still got to do it though. Arteta hasn't done it with his own team.
Klopp didn't
I'm just giving him the same narrative. Everyone does it with us.
But Arteta ain't done it with his team.
Everyone does it with us.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not Klopp's team because Klopp's team didn't win the league.
Klopp's team did win the league.
Klopp's team didn't win the league last season. He hasn't come into a team that won the league. And
It's the exact same team though, Rory.
I don't remember Gravenberch. I don't remember Gravenberch winning the league.
Sorry, what did you say, George?
He's won the league with a team that ain't his. So I think that looks better than anything Arteta's done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Arteta won it with Unai Emery's team.
The pressure does build on, with Arne Slot winning the league, the pressure
Doesn't.
going to start to
That's
raise.
what you rival fans are saying that to us. But we know there's pressure on Arteta as an Arsenal fan. I know
fans have
that,
their
but
own.
We have our own pressure upon our manager. Yeah, I know
Exactly.
that. But I think we're going to win
you
more
could be
than...
right though. Villa are they've got a great owner. When you look at where they've come from since Steven Gerrard, like potentially getting relegated, they've added some great players to the mix.
But what
the
happens
fact that
if...
they've been able to attract the likes of Asensio, Rashford, etc.
But Unai
Sky's the
Emery, we
limit.
all know, Adam, he's not really a project manager though, is he? He's here
but
now.
he's very good at Conference League and Europa League. So if we don't make Champions League, we've got a better chance of winning the other European competitions than Arsenal have the Champions League.
Yeah, but I don't know if them players are going to stay around. I honestly don't believe so. I think
Whereas-
Morgan Rogers will be off with him the next season or two.
Morgan Rogers ain't going to go anywhere because the difference is now the owners we've got, we can offer them money.
It's all about ambition though.
We're in a different
Champions
position now with Morgan Rogers and players like that than we were when we had Jack Grealish, and obviously we had to sell him. I think we're a completely different club now.
It'll be very interesting to see how it goes for Villa. But to be honest, George, I'm with you. I do think that Villa are in an excellent shape, and I think that you could win the FA Cup this year. I actually believe. Adam, who do you think will win the FA Cup this year?
Let me have a look. So there's left in it. You've got Bournemouth.
It's basically Man City, Bournemouth, like the fixtures.
So I think the semi-finals will be Forest, City, Villa. I think Villa will win it.
Well, if you lot are obviously sponsored by the Sky Bet, ain't you?
Yep.
They're doing top 5 Villa and FA Cup 22-1.
Wow, I'm going to get on that.
Yeah, that's a good bet. Also,
Yeah,
you've got to think
I like
Aston Villa, according to Sky Bet, Aston Villa are the second favourites for the trophy behind Man City. And when you think Man City are playing Bournemouth away, that could go anyway. Do you know what? I'm just looking at the odds here on Sky Bet for the FA Cup winner. Nottingham Forest at 9s is a good bet.
Yeah, it is.
Nottingham Forest at 9s.
It is.
Why are they so far
But
out?
boys, other than Manchester City, take them out of it. Aston Villa versus Aston Villa, Brighton, Bournemouth, and Forest. Any one of those teams are capable of beating each other.
Who do Forest have in the next round of the FA Cup?
Brighton away.
Forest have got to go to Brighton.
Yeah, see, Brighton versus Aston Villa versus
I'm
Nottingham
going to be
Forest.
so upset if Brighton win it.
Villa and Forest final would be unreal.
Villa Forest final.
that's
Villa
just
Forest final. That is the dream.
That is what we need.
That is the absolute
When was
dream.
the last time Villa were in a cup final? Was it Chelsea?
No,
Matteo?
we played
Yeah. We beat
2010 Carling Cup, 2015 we played Arsenal.
You
and then we
played us in
Man
one as well, didn't you? 09.
Man City in the final.
We played you in a semi-final as well, didn't
2020.
we? We played you in a semi-final 2010. Would it have been 2010?
Oh, that would have been the Carling Cup versus Man United in the final. Because that's the first time I went Wembley.
No, we beat you.
I was 9 years old.
Wazza scored, didn't he?
No, we beat you. We beat you. It must
Oh,
have been.
you know about the FA Cup?
Must have been the semi-final of the FA Cup 2010. I remember we beat you.
Oh, I was thinking of the Carling Cup versus Man United in 2010.
Oh, what? Did you get to both semi-finals of the same season
We
then?
got to the 2010 Carling Cup final was versus Man U and we lost.
And the 2010
remember the FA
2010 FA Cup semi-final was against us, and you got beat.
The FA Cup, I can't remember. I would have been 10 at the time.
Yeah. No, we
That
definitely.
was my first time at Wembley.
Oh, what? Sorry, man. Wazza stepping up with a goal. There might have been a dodgy penalty as well.
Aston Villa will win
No,
more.
it's definitely dodgy penalty. Because they should have been sent off early on.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah,
But George, let me just ask you a quick question. Why did you say Arsenal of all teams though? The teams that's come second twice or third, 3 times in a row. And that's
Because Arsenal just don't seem to get over the line.
So you think you'll win a Carling Cup or a FA Cup before us then?
Yeah, and then Europe as well before Arsenal.
Can't argue with that, George. Thank you so much for your call. Make sure you call back when you've won the FA Cup. Make sure you call back.
Nice one,
all right?
George. Good to speak to you.
I will.
Great to speak to you, sir.
George, when we win the Champions League,
I think there's some truth. I think there's some truth in what he's saying, Miles. I do. I genuinely do. Not mocking or anything. Nah. But I just think that Unai Emery is such an astute manager. He's so capable. And I actually believe that Villa are going to knock Paris Saint-Germain out of the European Cup.
No, but obviously they still need to try and win the whole trophy, and I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. But they could still win the FA Cup.
Let's move on now to the Arsenal fans. Sam, I've got a feeling this could be directed towards you, Miles. How are you, Sam?
Oh, hi, guys.
How are you?
How you doing, Sam?
What's up, Sam?
Good, thanks, guys. Big fan. How are you guys?
Yeah, good.
Not
Thank
too
you
bad.
very much. Great to hear from you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so my topic for today is Harry Kane's obviously getting quite old now. Not out of the game, but by the next World Cup, he's either not going to be playing as much or maybe not be captain all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Bukayo Saka is the best player to replace him as captain. And the reason I said that is actually, I think he's most likely to play in his position.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's one of the videos Rory posted on his channel about Bukayo Saka being a leader that really made me think that was the case.
Yeah, there has this. I think this has been a coming of age season for Bukayo Saka, hasn't it? In terms of the way that he approaches games of football, I think this season. Do you know when I actually noticed it at the game at Stamford Bridge? Do you remember he left one in on Moises Caicedo? It's such a small thing, but I remember Moises Caicedo. I think left one in on Odegaard. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it.
And then a couple of minutes later, Caicedo got done by Saka. And I was like, that's quite. That's a bit Keane-like, isn't it?
He's also grown in his absence as well.
Yeah,
like it's shown you probably how much more
much
important he is to the Arsenal team.
Yeah, because their title challenge, although maybe we didn't realise it, their title challenge ended when Saka got injured, didn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. But me personally, as an Arsenal fan as well, Sam, I personally don't think Saka is captain material for England, even for Arsenal at this present moment of time. I don't think
he's a leader of your side.
Yeah, I think
he's a leader of your side. I think
he's a leader, but obviously, you know, Rory, you can lead by example without having the captaincy badge on your arm. I don't think he's that type of player to just galvanise his team. I think he just leads by example by playing.
But like at Manchester United, for example, Roy Keane was a different leader to Ryan Giggs. Saka would be more like the Ryan Giggs mode, that constantly leading by example rather than shouting and bollocking everyone.
Yeah, but I think he's got so much expectation and weight on his shoulders as it is as being the best player at Arsenal Football Club and one of the best players in England. So I don't think he needs that expectation on top of him. I just personally don't think so. Whereas someone like Declan Rice, I think he's got more leadership qualities. He's been a captain at his club already for West Ham. He's already done it. I think there's people like Jude Bellingham who's gone over to Spain and become one of the best players in the world. He's done it for his club, Birmingham, at a young age. So someone like Saka.
But Bukayo Saka, if you think about the next person, so Harry Kane is a lead by example captain. For England, that hasn't necessarily materialised, but I think that Harry Kane is an icon, an inspiration, just like the perfect footballer. No scandal, just an excellent representation of what you want your captain to be for England.
Yeah.
But he is older. The next captain, there isn't the obvious answer. So the contenders would be Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham. Anyone at the back? Is there anyone that springs to mind as potential captain material?
Pickford?
I personally, I'd say Stones is too old, too injured. Pickford, I'm probably wrong here, but I just won't have it as a keeper.
Sam, what do you think about Jack Grealish, manager for England?
Jack Grealish?
Captain of English, yeah, Jack Grealish.
I mean, he's got to get in the team.
Jack Grealish.
He's got to be there, isn't he?
Yeah. No, he's got to be in the team. I don't think we can consider that.
Saka would be ahead of Grealish, but I don't think Saka's top of the list.
Who would you...
What sells it for Saka for me is that if you think he's learning under the best people, Mikel Arteta was a captain.
And
Ben
Mikel
White is
Arteta
showing
as
a
well.
bit of the... Ben White is showing him a bit of that edge. Declan Rice. I think you can't find a person in football that has a bad thing to say about him as a person. So he's obviously a leader. And if you want to talk about consistency and showing up every time, he's, I think, one of the few players who shows up for his club and England every single time.
I don't necessarily agree with the point that you made there about learning from the best, and then you started talking about Ben White and Arteta. But I do agree. I do agree that Bukayo Saka would be my shout for England captain, to be honest, Sam. I think you've hit the nail on the head, but our rationale for getting to it are different. And the reason why I think it has to be Saka, we're saying that Kane has gone here, by the way. So unless there's a new contender, who else is it?
I personally think it's Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice is way more of a leader. On that pitch, he shows example. He shows up for Arsenal.
I'd have
and for
Saka
England.
ahead of Declan Rice.
I have Declan Rice.
But I'd also have Jude ahead of both.
The only way that it could be...
I don't like attackers as captains as
I'm
well.
not sure about Bellingham as much as I am Saka.
What about someone like John Stones?
He's never in. He's always injured.
injured.
It's pointless. Like,
What about,
I'm
just
no,
he's
he's just pointless. Like I find
Pickford.
Never a keeper in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong. Loads of people can have that debate. I would never. Like I didn't want Petr Cech as Chelsea.
I agree.
I just don't want to keep.
I would also like for Saka. I think he would probably not want it yet.
No, it's too early for him.
He'd want it.
Maybe you never say no. You never say no to it
Yeah.
because you just don't, right?
And all of the
But
other contenders, right? Gahey and all that. They're not definitely in the team.
No.
I just think focus on your football. Get your head down.
Sam, I agree with you. If I were doing it, the only other way that this changes is by the time Harry Kane is no longer the captain, has somebody come through and made... Is Conor Gallagher playing every game for England? And if he is, you have a conversation about that. Is Trent Alexander-Arnold in the form of his life at Real Madrid? And if he is, you have a conversation about that. Is there a young...
I'd have Saka ahead of Trent as a captain.
No, I'm trying
As
to...
a captain, yeah.
So would I.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd have Saka ahead of everyone.
I think I
my,
would. I think
would.
my next pick after Kane would be Bellingham.
My next pick after Kane would be Saka. Sam?
Saka's next because if you think by the time that Kane's gone, Saka will probably have the most England caps of the players that you'd want it to be.
And he'll be captaining Arsenal week in, week out at some point as well, won't he?
As if he's even still at
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Yeah, he already does a bit of that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Sam.
Odegaard was out.
I think it is Saka. And this season we have seen, this season has been, on some level, Saka's best season because we've seen a development, we've seen a coming of age, we've seen a maturity, and we've seen, as Adam pointed out perfectly, we've seen how important he is to the team via his absence. Not that we needed to, we didn't really learn anything, but if there was ever any doubt, Arsenal can't win the league without him. And if he'd been fit this season, there's certainly a world where they could have done because there's a frailty to the league. Great call, Sam. I think
Nice
we're in
Sam.
agreement.
Nice.
Apart from learning
Appreciate
from the
it, guys.
best
See
Ben
you later.
White. See you in a bit. That was I totally agreed with everything he said until learning from the best Ben White.
He said Arteta.
And Arteta.
Captains, but I don't know. I don't think so. And I do know. I don't think Saka should be the captain of
You
England.
going Bellingham as well?
I just go Bellingham or Declan Rice. But the reason why
I'd have Saka over Declan, you know.
Nah, the only reason why I believe if Saka wins the league with Arsenal, then you grow in confidence. You know you've won. You've gotten it over the line.
Like ifs here.
Yeah, no, but this is the reason why I don't think he should do it. Because you look to his left, Jude Bellingham, you've won something over there. Look to his right, Kyle Walker, you've won umpteen amount of things over there. So there's a level of respect in and around the camp.
I think
He hasn't won anything.
it's
You're a great
good
player,
shout.
but how can you really lead us to?
But I think being a captain isn't just about what you've won, though. It's about.
But remember, all that crop will be gone. All that crop will be gone as well. We're talking about post Kane, so that will be post Walker, post Stones, post.
Of course, but obviously there's going to be a younger generation underneath Saka at one point. But at the same time, they're going to still look at him and think, okay, what have you won? Because Phil Foden will be there and say, okay, I could be a captain. Not saying he's captain material. No, I'm just saying, for example,
you've got to be in the team.
No,
and
yeah,
Saka starts.
I know. But
Saka starts.
He's going to start every tournament, every game if he's fit. But I'm just saying, I would want him to just try at least win a trophy or major trophy at Arsenal before even being a leader at England.
Fair.
Because you've done it for your club first, then you can translate that into your nation.
We're sticking with the Arsenal fans. We're now going back to the phone lines to speak to Tommy, the Arsenal fan. How are you, Tommy?
Hello, gents. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, perfectly. How are you?
Lovely. Hey, yeah, I'm good, thanks. First, I just want to say I'm a massive, massive fan of you lads. Tuning in all the time to listen to you talk passionately about football, give insightful professional analysis, and Buvey tries his best too.
Very kind of you, Tommy. Thank you very much.
No problem. I just wanted to talk about England, and don't like talking about them too much, but I just think they're probably one of the best teams to never have won anything nationally.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the team that didn't win in 2002 is one of the best teams. Even actually taking it as a bit of an era. If you kind of go 2002 to 2008, that obviously didn't win anything, and it culminated in not qualifying for the 2008 championships under idiot McLaren. that era of team was absolutely brilliant. That era of football for English football was absolutely brilliant. You had Arsenal in a Champions League final 2006. You had two English teams in a Champions League final 2008. and you had Steve McLaren who couldn't qualify for a tournament the same year when you have 2 English teams in the Champions League final.
Great players as well.
With the previous year, by the way, Liverpool were in the final 07.
Yeah.
So you're like, Steve McLaren managed to not qualify for a tournament when English football was sort of at its peak.
Yeah.
And I think that team that Tommy's spoken about there, the golden generation of England, was about as good an England team as we've ever had, and about as good an international team to not have won a tournament.
Yeah.
Like that England team then was better than the Argentina team that won the World Cup, the current World Cup.
Oh, yeah,
run.
for sure.
By a mile.
100%.
By a mile.
Country,
Like you look at the...
They used to have Di Maria knocking around on these old guys.
Mate, you're looking at play,
class, man.
but equally that England team, you're basically going world class players. Ashley Cole, obviously a world class player. John Terry, obviously a world class player. Rio Ferdinand, obviously a world class player. Frank Lampard, obviously a world class player. Steven Gerrard, obviously a world class player. Paul Scholes, obviously a world class player. Ona Hargreaves, obviously a world class player. Hargreaves, but injured, but world class. Seaman, no doubt. David Beckham, non-negotiable.
You even think of some of the players that didn't make England squads over the years.
Well, Jermaine Defoe.
Even like, think of like around that era of strikers, around the like back end of the 90s to the early 90s. Like you got
Ian
like
Wright.
Fowler and Cole and all these like not really getting a
squad.
Ian Wright is one of the most natural goal scorers this country's ever produced, but he didn't really get in the England team. He featured for England, scored 4 against San Marino, great goal up at Scotland, but he was always like the other guy for England.
Is that the one Scholes he picks out?
Yeah. Puts a backspin on it. Yeah. Like you're looking at that goal, you're looking at Les Ferdinand scoring goals left, right, and centre. Andy Cole winning a treble, barely
What
getting
other
an
brilliant club teams or international teams didn't win anything?
Well, I kind of looked into this a little bit, and it falls out the parameters of the 20-year mark. But that Netherlands side of 2010 wasn't a great team that you would expect to win anything, but they managed to
get to the final,
scrape and win. We definitely, I know it's.
But it wasn't a good team, that Dutch side.
No. I'm referring to my point of like England definitely had it's the Brian Clough saying, isn't it? We had a better team on paper, but unfortunately we played on grass. Arsenal, I'm sorry, England had the much better team in that tournament. Yet we managed to do absolutely nothing for it. And even if you look a little bit more recently, the Spain final, on paper, like. It was a mismatch in my eyes. I mean, you've got Walker and Stones that have led Man City to countless titles and been prominent defenders in that team as well. You've got Arsenal starboy and Saka.
Yeah, Phil Foden was the Premier League Player of the Year. Harry Kane. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Harry Kane, arguably the greatest. I don't even think it is really arguably anymore, but the greatest number 9 of our generation, and he was arguably the worst player on the pitch that night, and he's the captain.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just the fact that we're poorly managed, or whether it's just the stars not being able to show up on an international stage. But we should have won something in the last 20 years.
I think I'm just racking my brains there, Tommy, because I think it's a really interesting debate. I think I've thought of a team that was maybe equally as good as the England team that didn't win anything, and also didn't win anything. And I'm going to suggest the Dutch team off the back of Ajax winning the European Cup 96, getting to the final 97. And it was Mark Overmars, Dennis Bergkamp, Clarence Seedorf, Edgar Davids, Patrick Kluivert, the De Boer brothers, Aaron Winter, Wim Jonk,
Van der Sar.
Edwin van der Sar, like that team could, like, basically Patrick Kluivert, Dennis Bergkamp up front. That with Mark Overmars on one side, the De Boer brothers in the team, Clarence Seedorf, that team would be kind of comparable to an England team that didn't win anything, wouldn't it? Off the back of Ajax making it to 2 consecutive finals, winning one of them.
Tommy,
what about Liverpool? You got Liverpool during with the Salamane thing with it.
What, when
Premier
they
League
didn't win enough?
Obviously,
Oh, what you
they
mean?
did
Just,
kind of
just
win the
great
Champions
teams
League
that
and the
didn't
Premier
win.
League.
What, just great teams that didn't win?
team on the Poch.
That wasn't a great team.
It was a great team.
No,
Are
you joking?
It was a great.
It wasn't a great team. I got Lucas Moura.
No, not that team.
Oh,
the one with like Kane and
He's talking about
Ericsson
Pochettino's
was
team.
in his like pomp and.
It's not
It was
great.
a good team.
It's
not great, mate.
I've just been speaking about. I've just been speaking about like Dennis Bergkamp and Mark Overmars and Wim Jonk. You started talking about like Tottenham.
I've got a recent one
mad
as well. Have we got a golden generation? What about Belgium? That's one of the best teams we've ever seen.
Shout.
Yeah.
That Belgium side was seen.
Hazard,
I don't.
Everyone.
But there were flaws in it. It was a flawed team.
But it was ranked like top team of the year.
Do you know where they got really unlucky? They got really unlucky in 2018 when they managed to beat Brazil, but then a few days later have to play. A few days later they had to play
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
two finals back to back.
And ultimately they got done. It's a great question, Tommy. Thank you so much,
Tommy.
mate. You caused a good debate there. Love that. You'll have to call back, Tommy.
And I only said
No
Spurs to wind Tommy up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Wound me up as well, Tommy. We're on the same boat. Thank you so
Arsenal
much.
has the bottle jobs of the Premier League, or everyone says it, and I want to watch national football, and I watch the bottle jobs of the international stage as well. And I can't get away from it.
Fantastic, Tommy. Thank you so much. Give us a call back soon.
All the best to all you lads. Thank
And
you.
to
Nice
you,
one,
mate.
Tommy.
Thank you very much, sir. Love this part of the show. Let us now delve straight into the voice notes. Thank you so much to everybody for sending them in. Our first one is up now.
Hi guys, I hope you're well. Paul here, a Liverpool fan, and my question is it finally time to admit that Andy Robertson Prime is better than Ashley Cole Prime in terms of assists and goals and just overall being a balance to the team? Let me know your thoughts.
Oh, Paul, you've had a bad game, as we would say. He's had a bad game.
Do you know what's quite troubling about that, though? This is the problem with kind of modern day football, because he started talking about stats, and I guess there is a world where Andy Robertson has contributed more goals and scored more goals and made more goals than Ashley Cole, and therefore there is a world where you can pretend that he was somehow a better player. I mean, the crazy thing here is that they're even being compared. Like it's actually a travesty, and we shouldn't have allowed it on the channel. Like, I'm all in favour of free speech, but this is hate speech. You cannot say Andy Robertson and follow it up with Ashley Cole.
Too much.
You can't
It's
talk about
too much response.
what was his name?
It doesn't matter.
Paul, seek help, sir.
Do you know what I
Seek
thought Paul
help.
was going to say? He said, boys, do you think it's time that we get
Andy Robertson moves
moved on?
on.
That's what I thought he was
That's what I
going to
was
say. Yes, Paul.
Andy Robertson
Yeah,
moves
it's
on.
time.
Yeah,
Andy
and you go,
Robertson's
and
had, what,
I was
5
thinking,
years?
do you know what I was thinking of saying? I was like, yeah, and you got a problem there because I don't think Simicast is good enough. That's what I was thinking I was going to have to say.
Ashley Cole? No way.
I'm out. It's very rare that this happens, but you've rendered all three of us speechless, Paul. We're going to move on to the next voice note now. Thank you so much for getting them in.
Hey guys, so my name is Gabe and I'm a Bournemouth fan. And my statement for you guys is that Dean Howson has been the Premier League's best signing this season. When you consider the fact that we only got him for £15 million, which is an absolute bargain, and how this season he's been one of the best centre backs period in the league, if not the best young centre back in the league this season. I just think that just proves it. He's been sensational with his partnership with Zabarnyi. He's had world-class level games, including his one for Newcastle, to highlight.
I think he could be spot on, you know. I mean, Joshua Zirkzee is the signing of the season.
No,
we all
I
know
don't
that.
know.
That's not true.
Stop that.
But fighting for second, he's up there. Hoyson's been
It's an
incredible.
interesting point. I agree with the principle raised by that call. It's a great voice note as well. Thank you so much for getting it in. It's a great suggestion. I agree in principle, but I think the praise might be a little bit too dramatic.
But I think he is a signing.
Signing of the season, though.
One of the signings of the season.
Fine.
I don't think he's
Who is signing of the season?
It could be one of the most value for money signings of the season.
Oh,
as well.
100%.
15 million. They could probably, I know it's kind of sad for me to say this, but they could probably sell him for like 10 times that. Not 10 times, but
at least 7
5
million.
times.
Well, he's got a £50 million release clause, you know.
yeah, he's worth more than that
Way more.
in the market.
Do you know what's got me thinking? It's a really good voice note. Who is the signing of the season then? If we're going to say, and I think we're all in agreement that it's not Howson.
Top 3. He's top 3 though.
He's top 3. There's an argument for him.
Okay, who is it then?
Especially look at the difference he's made to Bournemouth as well. Signing of the season though. It's
It hasn't been much though. It hasn't been much standout.
Nobody's really worked at Man City, where you usually look. Nobody's really worked at Chelsea, where we signed 1 billion players. Liverpool didn't sign anyone. It's certainly not Chiesa. Arsenal, anybody? Nobody.
no
Moreno
one's there.
hasn't really stood out, has he?
Hoyson's
Delap,
probably
maybe? Delap? No, maybe it is, you know.
Ipswich might
Is it
still go
Hoyson?
down. I know Delap's a very good player and he's not the reason they're going down.
The boy at Forest. Centre half at Forest.
Milenkovic.
Good, he's
That's
a
the
good one.
answer.
Well, Hoyson's had a big an impact as him.
Oh, yeah, he has. No, because Forest is doing so
Milenkovic scored a winner
Forest is-
against you,
Forest
didn't
are in a better team.
Yeah, but Forest and
They're a better team partly because of Milenkovic, though.
Yeah.
But do you know
It
what?
depends on how you look at it,
I was
though.
very combative.
Combatant.
I was very aggressive towards that point. And actually, the more I think about it now, sometimes to prove the point, ask me to name somebody better and I'm struggling. So maybe you are correct and I'm sorry.
Can I say a controversial one?
Go on.
I just think Archie Gray, not the best, but I like that he just stepped in for Tottenham, 18-year-old.
No Man United signing would win it, but Mazraoui has been very good. And
Okay, that's just dumb. That's just dumb.
He's not even better than Archie Gray.
You've just ruined the entire legitimacy of the show.
Archie Gray.
Archie Gray
You
has,
both have.
Archie Gray.
Clowns to the
You
left
know
of
what's the
me,
best signing this
jokers
summer?
to the right.
Aiden Heaven. Bitches.
That was very interesting stuff, actually. Let's listen to the next voice now.
Hey lads, Paradise here from London. Big fan of the show. Subscribed, one of the first 1,000 subscribers actually. So,
OG.
big fan of the show. My question is, would you rather see your country win the World Cup or the European Championships, or your club win the Champions League or Premier League title? I've always been I'm a Chelsea fan, so I've always been I'd rather see us win the Champions League. But I would love to hear your guys' take and your reasoning as to which answer you would choose. Thank you.
Interesting.
This is easiest for me, so I think the best answer we're going to get is from either of you pair. I think
the best answer you're going to get is from Rory.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm...
Again, though, I think
someone that's followed both.
Yeah.
I mean, I love following England. I love international football, and I really desperately hope before I die, I see England win a recognised piece of silverware. But it's club over country.
Oh, wow.
It's club over country.
Surprised me with that.
No, it's always club
I thought
over
he was going to pick up a World Cup.
No, it's all. I desperately want that, but it's club over country.
If let's say
if it was a League Cup
you've got
for
a Champions
Chelsea,
League final at the end of the season for Chelsea, but also weirdly in this scenario, England have a World Cup final
not
2 weeks later.
The next week.
I don't know how.
Yeah, you've created a scenario.
Yeah.
No, that's there's no debate. Where you could potentially find a debate would be an FA Cup, a Europa League, Chelsea Europa League. I'd have a bit of a debate.
I feel like this question's a bit different.
But a Premier League title or a European Cup, there is just no debate.
But it all depends on what club you support, though, because you guys both won the Champions League. I've never won the Champions League, so I'd love to see us win that over the World Cup. But that's a selfish standpoint. But you guys have seen your team
but
win
there
both.
isn't an Arsenal fan that I know that wouldn't agree with that.
But you've won the Champions League. But you've never seen your team. You've never seen England win. That's the difference. You've done it twice.
I know.
I'd rather United win a throw-in.
You could never ever. It's club over country. Where the debate would come would be if Chelsea were in a League Cup final and England were in a Euros final. I think I could sacrifice a League Cup to see England win a Euros.
Not a League Cup, a champion. It has to be something big. You've done it twice. You've seen it twice.
I actually believe that a League Cup is big, though. I genuinely do. No, I do. I really do. I think winning the League Cup.
Even I would sacrifice a League Cup for the World Cup. I don't care about the League Cup. You could also don't need to win that.
I mean, you need to.
You've only won it twice in your history.
You need to win something.
You do, yeah.
But no, it's an interesting one. But I think most football fans will always prioritise club over country. Let's go back to the voice notes.
Hassan here. Hi guys. I support Liverpool. I have a question for all three of you. Who is the most talented footballer that has ever played for your club? I've followed Rory a lot, and I'm a big fan of his. And I once saw him on a podcast saying that people say that Eden Hazard is the most naturally gifted footballer ever to play for Chelsea, right? And I have no stake in this because I'm a Liverpool fan. Obviously, I would say like Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen and those kind of players are the most naturally gifted footballers I've ever seen. But I remember Rory once saying one thing way back when. I think it was about a year or so, probably a couple of years ago. You guys were on a different podcast. I won't name it because I know what happened between you guys and that one. But that podcast, Rory said loads of Chelsea fans used to say to him that the most gifted, talented footballer that has ever played for Chelsea was Eden Hazard. And he disagreed with every single one of them because his answer, which I actually agree with him on, and he's bang on about it, was that Joe Cole was the most naturally gifted footballer that ever played for Chelsea. And I agree with him. So just want to know your thoughts on that.
I mean, I don't know. I thought he was going to say Gianfranco Zola. I thought he was going to say that I said... I
remember a world where you would say Joe Cole, though.
I mean, Joe Cole was a phenomenon. He really was. And I think that it's been cruelly forgotten quite how good at football Joe Cole was.
Very good.
He was... Joe Cole was a world-class footballer. And I don't think he was ever seen.
England goal I've seen at a World Cup.
Scored one of the best goals you've ever seen at the Stretford end as well, back heel.
Oh yeah, was that at the World Cup?
That was at the 06 World Cup against Sweden, in Gelsenkirchen. But no, Joe Cole was a phenomenon, absolute phenomenon, and he was one of the most naturally gifted footballers that I've ever seen. And I would say that in terms of Chelsea players, I think I can think of about 3 that would usurp Eden Hazard. Do you know who gets furious with this? You know, Sugar Sean. He gets like quite animated when I say this because he believes it's Hazard. He won't really hear a conversation. He won't hear a conversation that it isn't Hazard.
When Hazard was one of the best.
I came across Hazard's goal at Liverpool the other day.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I've watched it about 10 times.
It's amazing.
Do
you know what's amazing? It's such a one-man team, isn't
constantly.
it? It's such a one-man team. Like it gives it to the fullback, just runs over to fullback, goes get back.
You know where I've seen it? So someone had said Mo Salah was on his own. Every time he got the ball, there was 5 players around. And then someone went, why didn't he do this? Because obviously it's Salah Hazard constantly compared against it. I found it quite funny that, why didn't he do this?
Chelsea fans get very annoyed with me in the Salah Hazard debate, primarily because I don't really see it.
I'd rather Hazard in my team.
I just don't.
I love a Maverick.
Mate, Chelsea fans will love this. Chelsea fans will love you saying it, and I'll get it in the neck. But I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Salah, like they're about the same age, right?
Yeah.
Salah's about to win the league. Eden Hazard's playing football against Thogden. Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, Hazard is literally playing football against Thogden.
Because obviously there was.
But there'd be some player from back in the day that you rate highly that didn't have the it'd be like saying something like that about Gaza for different reasons, but he didn't have the career he should have. But he was still an incredibly talented
do you know
player.
what I think? Do you know what I think? People have been very. I think because he was such a beautiful footballer and such an artist, and I agree with that. And I love watching him play. I love the way that he used to stroke the ball around. And that season when we beat Arsenal in the final in Baku, it all happened because of Hazard. It was as close to being a one-man team that I've ever seen. It really was. You know, we had other good players. Pedro was a good player. Giroud was a good player.
It was
Hazard. You know, it really was. And it was a glorious thing to behold. But I feel like the football community and Chelsea fans have been very forgiving. Like, the geezer had a season off. Geezer got Mourinho the sack. Like, I've never really seen a player just totally give up for an entire season.
Switch it on and off.
Just totally give up.
Also, we bemoan the likes of Hazard not being in the game anymore. So we should always, when we got a chance,
prop him
sing
up.
their praises.
No, I mean, he is one. He'd be in my all-time Chelsea 11, I think.
No, he would be on the left-hand side.
Is he better than Robin?
Yeah. On the left-hand side. Robin was a right winger, no?
Robin played on the left.
He played on the right.
They had Duff on the left and Robin on the right.
Drogba. On some level, to accommodate Eden Hazard in an all-time Chelsea 11, you're going to probably have to leave out Robin and Zola. Certainly Robin or Zola. And you can't leave out Zola.
So I just... Hazard's on the left for me.
Do you know what we have to do? We'll have to get Sugar Sean. We'll have to get Sugar Sean.
He's one of the best.
We'll have to get Sugar Sean back and have this debate with him.
I think having you two on the same debate that'd be good. Miles, for yourself.
Dennis Bergkamp.
See, most naturally talented player. I don't know what naturally means. Like, it can't be Ronaldo because he had to work too hard.
In the words of Specs Gonzalez,
Wayne Rooney, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes.
No, you have to be born with it.
I think it's Rooney, mate.
Mason Greenwood is
No.
I think it's Rooney, mate.
Pogba was unreal.
No, it's
Wayne Rooney.
Do you know why it's Rooney? More so than, say, Scholes or Giggs. I think Rooney could play in any position on the football pitch. Like, I don't think Ryan Giggs, he wouldn't be bad, don't get me wrong. But Paul Scholes wouldn't be a particularly good centre-half. Rooney would.
Cantona.
Rooney could play right back.
It's just it's like naturally gifted, isn't it?
Easy.
Left wing.
He's just born with, like
Right
Specs would say, he's just born with it.
Ryan Rooney could even go in goal.
It's Wayne Rooney for you.
Yep. Guys, thank you very much for getting your voice notes in, and of course to those that called in as well. Remember to click the link in the description to join our Discord and get involved in the show. It could be you debating with us next week. We've been brought to you by Skybet. Thank you to Rory for joining us as always, and thank you to Miles.
Oh, thanks. It's a pleasure.
For being from my left.